The shattering, the alarm screaming through Kepler Station made Captain Reina Vasquez's blood run cold. She had heard warning klaxons before during drills and minor emergencies, but this sound was different. This was the sound reserved for one thing only: mass casualties. She sprinted from her quarters toward the command center, her boots hammering against the metal corridors. Other crew members rushed past her, their faces pale with shock. Someone was crying. Vasquez shoved the fear down into the pit of her stomach where it belonged and burst through the command center doors. The main display showed hell itself. Haven 7, humanity's crown jewel colony world, was burning. The planet that had taken 40 years to terraform, that housed 2.3 billion souls, was under attack by the Krell swarm. The biomechanical horrors were everywhere, their ship creatures blocking out the stars as they descended on the helpless world below. Lieutenant Marcus Stone looked up from his console, his dark skin ashen. "Captain, we're receiving thousands of distress signals. The planetary defense grid is down." The Krell took it out in the first wave. They knew exactly where to strike. Vasquez felt her chest tighten. Her sister lived on Haven 7 with her husband and 2 daughters. Little Sophia had just turned 6 last month. Vasquez had promised to visit for the birthday party, but duty had kept her aboard Kepler Station. She pushed the thought away. She was a captain first, an aunt second. "Get me a line to the Galactic Union Assembly, now." Her voice was steel. "Yes, ma'am." Stone's fingers flew across the console. Connection established. The holographic display shimmered to life, showing the vast chamber of the Galactic Union Assembly. It was an impressive sight even now. 45 different species represented, from the towering Dracon to the floating energy beings called the Lux. This was supposed to be civilization, the pinnacle of galactic cooperation and mutual defense. The speaker of the assembly, a Vorton named Kellex, appeared in the projection. His 3 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Vasquez had learned meant mild annoyance. "Captain Vasquez, this is irregular. Assembly sessions require advanced scheduling through proper diplomatic channels. Haven 7 is under attack," Vasquez said, fighting to keep her voice level. "The Krell swarm is massacring our colony. We're invoking Article 7 of the Mutual Defense Compact. We need immediate military assistance." Kellex's eyes blinked again, slower this time. "We have received the distress signals. The Assembly is aware of the situation." "Then send help." Vasquez's composure cracked. "There are 2.3 billion people down there. Children, families, people who believed the compact meant something. Send your fleets. Send anything." "The matter requires deliberation," Kellex replied, his mechanical translator making his voice sound hollow. "We must convene and vote according to proper procedure. Such decisions cannot be made hastily." Vasquez stared at him in disbelief. "Deliberation? The Krell don't deliberate. They're killing our people right now, this second, while we talk. How long will your deliberation take?" "Assembly procedure requires a minimum of 72 standard hours for emergency defense votes. All member species must be given adequate time to review the situation and consult their governments. 72 hours. 3 days. Vasquez thought of Sophia and her sister. 3 days might as well be 3 years. The Krell would strip the planet bare in half that time. "Please," she said, and hated the desperation in her voice. "Please, just send someone, anyone. Even a small force could make a difference. Just show them we're not alone." Kellex's expression, as much as Vasquez could read alien features, seemed almost sympathetic. Almost. "The proper procedures exist for good reason, Captain. We will follow them. The assembly will convene in 6 hours. The connection ended. Vasquez stood there, staring at the empty space where the hologram had been. Behind her, she could hear Stone breathing hard, angry. The other crew members were silent. "Ma'am," Stone said quietly, "we're receiving a direct transmission from Haven 7. It's your sister." Vasquez's heart stopped. "Put it through." The audio was broken, filled with static and the sounds of explosions. But Camilla's voice came through clearly enough. Reina, can you hear me? They're everywhere. The shelters aren't holding. The Krell are tearing through the walls. Sophia keeps asking when the ships are coming, when the Union fleet will arrive to save us like they did for the Vortan colonies. What do I tell her, Reina? What do I tell my baby girl? Camilla, hold on. Just hold on. The assembly is meeting. They're sending help. You're lying. Camilla's voice was steady now, terrible in its calmness. I can hear it in your voice. They're not coming, are they? They're going to let us die. No, Tell Sophia I love her. Tell her mommy fought hard. Tell her. The transmission dissolved into static, then silence. Vasquez stood frozen. The command center was utterly quiet except for the continued alarm signals. Stone was looking at her with eyes full of pain and rage. The rest of the crew looked away, unable to face their captain's grief. "Captain," Stone said after a moment. "The assembly is convening." Vasquez straightened. She wiped her face, surprised to find tears there. "Show me." The holographic display lit up again. The assembly chamber was filled now. Representatives from 45 species gathered in their specialized environments. Water tanks for the aquatic Nelth, high-pressure chambers for the methane-breathing core, floating platforms for the Lux. So much diversity, so much supposed wisdom. The debate began. Species after species rose to speak, and each speech was worse than the last. The Dracon representative, a massive reptilian creature, spoke first. Humanity has expanded aggressively. 40 colonies in 50 years. Such rapid growth destabilizes the established order. Perhaps this Krell incursion will encourage more measured development. The Yix, insectoid beings from a hive mind collective, chittered their agreement. The humans disrupt trade routes. They compete too effectively. A reduction in their territory would benefit the economic balance. One by one, they spoke. The core questioned whether the Mutual Defense Compact truly applied to species who colonized recklessly. The Nelth suggested that humanity had provoked the Krell somehow. The Lux, beings of pure energy who fancied themselves philosophers, pondered whether it was the Union's place to interfere in the natural order of galactic conflict. Only the Zenthari, crystalline beings who had been humanity's first friends in space, argued for intervention. Their representative, a being named Crystallis, spoke with passion. "This is not a matter of politics or economics. This is a matter of honor. We made a compact. We swore to defend each other. If we abandon humanity now, we abandon everything the Union claims to stand for." The vote was called. Vasquez watched, her hands clenched so tight her nails drew blood. 0 votes in favor. 43 abstentions. 2 votes against. From species with territorial disputes with human colonies. The Zenthari representative had cast the only vote that mattered. But one voice meant nothing in the assembly. Kellix's mechanical voice announced the result. The motion for military intervention fails. The Galactic Union will not deploy forces to Haven 7. This session is adjourned. Vasquez stood in the command center, surrounded by her crew, and watched the transmission from Haven 7 dwindle to nothing. The planet was going dark, sector by sector, city by city. In real time, she was watching 2.3 billion people die. "Ma'am," Stone said quietly, "what are our orders?" Vasquez looked at him, then at the rest of her crew. They were all looking at her, waiting for her to tell them what to do, how to make sense of this betrayal. She thought of Sophia asking when the ships would come. She thought of Camilla's last words. She thought of the Union representatives sitting in their comfortable chambers, abstractly debating the value of human lives. "Send a message to Earth," she said, her voice completely flat. "Code Black. Use the old channels, the ones from before we joined the Union. Tell them what happened here. Tell them everything." Code Black? Stone's eyes widened. Code Black hadn't been used in over a century. It meant one thing: humanity stood alone. Yes, and send it to Luna facility as well, to Director Chen at the Black Archive. Stone paused. "Ma'am, the Black Archive is just a rumor. It doesn't actually exist." "Yes," Vasquez said, still watching Haven 7 die on the screen. "It does, and it's time to open it." 3 days later, Haven 7 was silent. The Krell had taken everything, stripped the world down to bedrock, consumed every living thing, every structure, every trace that humans had ever walked there. The planet was a gray sphere now, lifeless and empty. Vasquez sat in her quarters, staring at the final casualty report. TOR 347,093,241 confirmed dead. No survivors. Not one. There was a knock on her door. Stone entered without waiting for permission. He looked older now, like they all did. 3 days of watching genocide would do that. "Ma'am, we received a response from Earth and from Luna." Vasquez looked up. "And?" "Earth is recalling all diplomatic personnel from Union space. All human vessels are being ordered to withdraw to Terran-controlled systems and—" Stone paused. "Director Chen requests your presence on Luna immediately. Something called Protocol Exodus has been activated." Vasquez stood. "Protocol Exodus." She had heard whispers of it during her academy days, rumors of a doomsday contingency. Most people thought it was myth, a scary story to tell junior officers, but Vasquez had met Dr. Elias Chen once briefly at a classified briefing. She had looked into his eyes and seen something that frightened her. A man who planned for the worst and hoped he would never need to act. "Prepare my shuttle," she said. "We're going to Luna." As Kepler Station began its journey toward Earth, Vasquez stood at the observation window looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 45 species were going about their business, comfortable in their union, confident in their superiority. They had made a terrible mistake. They had taught humanity that the galaxy had no honor, that trust was a lie, that when it mattered most, humans stood alone. Vasquez touched the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. "They left us to die," she whispered. "Now they're going to learn what that means." Behind her, Stone approached quietly. "Captain, are you ready?" Vasquez turned away from the stars, her face hard as stone. "Yes, it's time to wake up the ghosts." The awakening. The shuttle descended toward Luna's dark side, where Earth's ancient satellite was pocked with craters and shadows. Vasquez watched through the viewport as they approached what looked like just another crater, one of thousands that scarred the moon's surface. But as they drew closer, the crater's center began to glow with faint blue light. "This is it?" she asked Stone, who sat beside her in the co-pilot seat. "According to the coordinates Director Chen sent, doesn't look like much," the shuttle systems chirped. An unfamiliar voice came through the comm. "Shuttle Kepler 7, you are cleared for landing Bay Omega. Follow the guidance beacon. No deviations. Any variance from the flight path will result in immediate termination." Stone whistled low. Friendly people. The crater floor opened like a mouth, revealing a vast underground facility. The shuttle descended into a hangar that could have housed 100 vessels, though only a dozen occupied the space. They weren't standard human designs. These ships were sleek, angular, almost predatory in their lines. No identification markings, no national flags or union registration codes. Ghost ships. As the shuttle settled onto the landing pad, Vasquez noticed armed personnel surrounding them. Not regular military. Their uniforms were matte black, their faces covered by featureless helmets. They moved with an efficiency that made her military training look clumsy. A man in civilian clothing approached as the shuttle doors opened. He was in his 60s, Asian features with eyes that seemed to calculate 1,000 variables with every glance. Dr. Elias Chen looked exactly as Vasquez remembered from their brief meeting years ago, except now he seemed almost relieved. "Captain Vasquez," Chen said, extending his hand. "I'm sorry we're meeting again under these circumstances. I'm sorrier still that I'm not surprised. Come with me. There's much to show you." He led them through corridors that had clearly been built in secret probably decades ago. The walls were reinforced polymer, designed to survive anything short of a direct nuclear strike. Every 50 meters, they passed security checkpoints that scanned them with technology Vasquez didn't recognize. "How long has this place existed?" she asked. "Construction began in 2167, Chen replied, "right after humanity's first contact with the Vortan. We joined the Galactic Union 3 years later, but some of us, we had questions, doubts. So we created the Black Archive Division, just in case. In case of what?" Chen stopped and turned to face her. "In case the galaxy wasn't as civilized as it pretended to be. In case humanity needed options that our diplomatic corps wouldn't approve of. In case we were betrayed." They entered a massive operations center. Holographic displays filled the air, showing star charts, technical schematics, and real-time data streams. Dozens of personnel worked at consoles, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of screens. This wasn't a research facility. This was a command center for war. "Welcome to Protocol Exodus," Chen said quietly. "This is what humanity built while smiling and shaking hands with the Union. This is our insurance policy." Vasquez stared at the displays. One showed the locations of every human colony, marking them in green. Another showed Union member worlds in red, but there were dozens of white markers scattered across both territories, blinking softly. "What are those white markers?" Stone asked. "Those," Chen said with grim satisfaction, "are revenants." A woman approached them. She was tall, athletic, with cybernetic enhancements visible along her neck and arms. Her eyes were a disturbing silver color, clearly artificial. When she moved, it was with a predator's grace. Commander Yuki Tanaka, Chen introduced her, lead operative of the Revenant program. Commander, this is Captain Vasquez and Lieutenant Stone. Tanaka's silver eyes fixed on Vasquez. I was on Haven 7 when it fell. I got out on the last civilian transport. I watched the Krell tear through the evacuation centers. I watched children die because the Union wouldn't lift a finger to help. Her voice was flat, emotionless, but Vasquez could sense the rage beneath. I'm glad Protocol Exodus is finally active. I'm glad I don't have to pretend anymore. What exactly is the Revenant program? Vasquez asked. Chen gestured to a conference room off the main operations center. Once inside with the door sealed, he activated a holographic display showing medical diagrams and genetic sequences. When humanity joined the Union, we knew we were the newcomers, Chen began. We were younger, less advanced in some ways, vastly outnumbered. If relations ever soured, we needed an edge, so we created it. The hologram showed a human form being altered at the genetic level. We took volunteers, people who understood they were sacrificing their normal lives for humanity's survival. We gave them enhanced muscle density, neural processing 3 times normal human capacity, accelerated healing, and resistance to toxins. We embedded quantum processors in their brains for instantaneous communication. We made them perfect infiltrators, assassins, Stone said quietly. No, Tanaka cut in. Saboteurs, infiltrators, insurance, we don't kill unless absolutely necessary. Our job was to embed ourselves in Union society, become part of the infrastructure and wait. If humanity was ever betrayed, she smiled without warmth, we'd be in position to make them regret it. Vasquez felt her understanding of the last 100 years shift. How many revenants are there? 3,000, Chen said. Spread across every Union member world. They're teachers, engineers, doctors, merchants. They've been living among alien species for decades, becoming trusted members of their communities. The Union has no idea they exist. Another display activated showing ship specifications. Vasquez recognized some elements, human design principles, but these vessels were far more advanced than anything in the public fleet. The Phantom Fleet, Chen continued. 200 warships built in secret over 60 years. They've been stationed in deep space, powered down, waiting. Each ship is controlled by an AI more sophisticated than anything the Union possesses. They don't need human crews. They're faster, more maneuverable, and carry weapons based on principles we deliberately kept secret from the Union. How is this possible? Vasquez demanded. The resources alone? We've been skimming, Chen said simply. A fraction of a percent from military budgets, colonial development funds, trade revenues. Spread across a century, across dozens of colonies, it adds up. The public fleet that protects our colonies is real and powerful. But it's not our only fleet. Stone was shaking his head. This is insane. We've been lying to the entire galaxy for 100 years? No, Chen corrected. We've been preparing. There's a difference. Everything humanity showed the Union was real. Our desire for peace was genuine. Our cooperation was sincere. But we're not fools. We're survivors, and survivors always have a backup plan. Vasquez walked to the window overlooking the operations center. She thought about Haven 7, about Camilla and Sophia, about 2.3 billion people who died believing help would come. What do you need from me? She asked. Your voice, Chen replied. We're gathering every human leader, every colonial governor, every military commander. They're meeting on Earth in 6 hours. The Shadow Cabinet will vote on whether to activate the full Protocol Exodus. They need to hear from someone who was there, who watched the Union's betrayal firsthand. What happens if they vote yes? Chen's expression became stone. Then humanity stops pretending. We withdraw from all Union territories. We sever all diplomatic ties, and we remind the galaxy why humans survived everything Earth threw at us. We show them what we're truly capable of. 6 hours later, Vasquez stood before humanity's shadow cabinet in a chamber that officially didn't exist, buried 3 kilometers beneath Earth's surface. 200 leaders, representatives from every human government and colony, looked at her with expressions ranging from grief to fury. Prime Minister Adesanya of the African Commonwealth spoke first. Captain Vasquez, tell us what you saw. Vasquez had prepared remarks, carefully worded statements. She abandoned them. I watched my sister die, she said simply. I listened to her last transmission as the Krell tore through her shelter. My 6-year-old niece asked when the Union ships would arrive. like they did for the Vorton when they were attacked. I had no answer for her because there were no ships coming. The Union watched 2.3 billion humans die, and 43 species couldn't even be bothered to vote. The chamber was silent. But that's not the worst part, Vasquez continued. Dr. Chen showed me the intelligence. The Union didn't just abandon us. Several species actively helped the Krell. They provided navigation data, targeting information, the exact locations of our defense systems. This wasn't neglect. This was murder. Governor Torres of Mars stood. So we activate Protocol Exodus. We show them our hidden strength, then what? We're still outnumbered thousands to one. We don't need to fight the entire Union, Chen interjected. We need to make the cost of betraying humanity too high to consider. The Revenants can cripple infrastructure across 40 worlds simultaneously. The Phantom Fleet can strike and disappear before their militaries can respond. We don't conquer. We devastate. We remind them that humanity might be small, but we're not weak. And the Krell? Someone asked. They're still out there. They'll attack other colonies. Tanaka smiled her cold smile. Leave the Krell to us. The Revenants have been tracking their hive networks for years. We know where they breed, where they gather, how they communicate. Give us the word and the Krell problem solves itself. Prime Minister Adesanya called for a vote. All in favor of activating Protocol Exodus in full, say aye. The ayes were deafening, nearly unanimous. All opposed? Silence. Protocol Exodus is active, Adesanya declared. God help us all. Chen looked at Vasquez. Captain, you're now the face of humanity's response. We need someone to deliver our message to the Union. Someone who was there, who has the moral authority to speak for what happened. Will you do it? Vasquez thought of Sophia, who would never ask another question. Of Camilla, who fought to the end. Of 2.3 billion voices that would never speak again. Yes, she said. What's the message? Chen handed her a data chip. It's one word. But it's the only word that matters now. Vasquez looked at the chip, then back at Chen. What word? Execute. The reckoning. The message went out simultaneously across 40 Union member worlds. Not through official channels, not through diplomatic corps. It appeared on every screen, every communication device, every public display. The Revenants had spent decades embedding themselves in alien infrastructure. Now they activated. Captain Vasquez's face appeared, transmitted from Luna, her expression carved from granite. Behind her, the symbol of the Black Archive Division, humanity's shadow government, burned in red. People of the Galactic Union, she began. I am Captain Reina Vasquez, formerly a diplomatic officer stationed at Kepler Station. 3 days ago, I watched 2.3 billion human beings die while your governments debated procedures. Today, humanity has a message for you. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. For 100 years, we sought peace. We joined your union believing in cooperation and mutual defense. We followed your rules, respected your customs, and contributed to galactic prosperity. When the Krell attacked Haven 7, we invoked the mutual defense compact you swore to honor. You voted 0 to 43 to let us die. Some of you even helped the Krell locate our defenses. Across Union space, representatives began scrambling. This transmission was appearing everywhere, unstoppable. Their jamming systems were useless. The Revenants controlled too much infrastructure. You thought humanity was weak because we sought peace, Vasquez continued. You thought we were naive because we trusted you. You made a mistake. The transmission split screen. Now it showed real-time footage from across the Union. On the Dracon homeworld, their primary power grid flickered and died. Not destroyed, simply shut down. On the Vortan capital, their planetary defense network went offline. The Corps watched as their methane processing facilities halted. The Nelth found their water purification systems disabled. 40 worlds simultaneously crippled. Not attacked, not destroyed, just stopped. This is just infrastructure, Vasquez said calmly. Power, water, communication, transportation. The things you take for granted every day. We didn't destroy anything. We simply demonstrated that we can reach into your homes, your cities, your governments, and turn off the lights whenever we choose. Panic spread across Union space. If humans could disable infrastructure this easily, what else could they do? You're wondering how, Vasquez continued. Let me enlighten you. For 100 years, while we smiled and cooperated, we prepared. We embedded personnel in your societies. We built ships you never detected. We developed weapons you never imagined. We did all of this because we knew eventually the galaxy would show its true face. The footage shifted to show the Phantom Fleet decloaking near Union territory. 200 warships, sleek and deadly, appearing from nothing. Union military observers watched in horror as their sensors finally detected the vessels, each one radiating power signatures far beyond standard human capabilities. "This is our Shadow Fleet," Vasquez explained. "Autonomous vessels controlled by quantum AI, faster and more deadly than anything in your arsenals. They've been waiting in deep space for decades. Now they're active." In the Union Assembly Chamber, Speaker Kellix watched the transmission with his three eyes wide in shock. Around him, representatives from 45 species were in chaos, screaming demands and accusations. "She's bluffing," the Dracon representative roared. "This is impossible. How could the humans build all this without our knowledge?" Crystallis, the Xanthari representative who had voted to help humanity, spoke quietly. "Because we weren't looking. We thought them beneath our notice. We made the classic mistake of confusing kindness with weakness." The transmission continued. "But infrastructure and ships aren't our most important message," Vasquez said. "Our message is about the Krell." The screen showed footage that made even hardened military commanders recoil. The Krell breeding worlds, the vast hive networks where they spawned their bioships. But now those worlds were dying. The Revenants had infiltrated the Krell's deepest territories and deployed bioweapons specifically engineered to target Krell genetic structures. The hive minds were collapsing, the breeding pools withering. "The Krell swarm that murdered 2.3 billion humans will be extinct within a week," Vasquez stated. "We've been tracking them, studying them, preparing this response for years. We didn't need your help to destroy them. We never did. We just needed you to honor your word." The Union Assembly erupted. Species that had feared the Krell for millennia watched as humanity casually announced their extinction. The implications were staggering. If humans could eliminate the Krell so easily, what else could they do? "Here are humanity's terms," Vasquez said, her voice steel. 1. Immediate dissolution of all human obligations to the Union. We withdraw from all treaties, compacts, and agreements effective immediately. 2. Full disclosure of all species and individuals who aided the Krell attack on Haven 7. We already know who you are, but the galaxy deserves to know as well. 3. Reparations for the Haven 7 massacre. Material support for rebuilding and compensation for families of the deceased. 4. Establishment of an exclusion zone around all human territory. No Union vessel enters human space without explicit permission. 5, she continued, her voice dropping to something colder. If any Union species attacks humanity again, we will not ask for help. We will not invoke treaties. We will respond with overwhelming force. We have demonstrated we can cripple your infrastructure. We have shown we can eliminate threats you've feared for centuries. Do not make us demonstrate what we can do to you directly." The transmission showed one final image, a star chart marking human territory in blue. Around it, a ring of red showing the Phantom Fleet's patrol routes. And scattered across Union space, the 3,000 white points of Revenant positions. "This is not a declaration of war," Vasquez said. "This is a declaration of independence. Humanity stands alone now as you forced us to. We will trade with species who approach us honestly. We will defend ourselves without mercy. And we will never ever trust the Galactic Union again." She leaned forward slightly. "You left us to die. You collaborated in our murder. You thought we would simply accept this. Perhaps lodge formal protests, maybe withdraw and lick our wounds in isolation. You were wrong. We will survive. We will thrive. And every time you look at the stars, you will remember that humans don't forget betrayal." The transmission ended with a single word appearing on every screen. Exodus. In the Union Assembly, chaos reigned. Species accused each other of collaborating with the Krell. Military commanders demanded emergency sessions. Economists predicted collapse as trade with humanity ceased. The unity that had held the Union together for 10,000 years fractured. Speaker Kellix tried to restore order, but his voice was lost in the tumult. The Draken representative was demanding military action. The Vortan wanted negotiations. The Corps were already pulling their fleets back to defend their homeworld. Crystallis stood and spoke, his crystalline voice cutting through the noise with pure clarity. "We did this to ourselves. We betrayed an ally, and now we face the consequences. The question isn't whether humanity has the right to respond this way. The question is what we do now. We cannot simply accept their demands." The Draken roared. "Can't we?" Crystallis gestured to the displays still showing dead infrastructure. They've proven they can cripple our societies at will. They've eliminated the Krell, a threat we've feared for 3,000 years, and they've built a military force we never detected. What exactly do you think we can do to stop them? The awful truth settled over the assembly. Humanity, the species they dismissed as newcomers, had outmaneuvered them completely. On Luna, in the Black Archive Operations Center, Vasquez watched the chaos unfold across Union space. Chen stood beside her, his expression satisfied. They're in complete disarray, he observed. Military mobilizations are confused and contradictory. Some species are withdrawing forces. Others are trying to mount attacks, but none of them know where to strike. The revenants are ghosts. The Phantom Fleet is untraceable, and our colonies are fortified behind quantum shields they can't penetrate. What about the species who helped the Krell? Vasquez asked. Tanaka appeared beside them. We're releasing the evidence to all public channels simultaneously. Intelligence intercepts, communication logs, financial transactions. 6 species were directly involved in providing targeting data to the Krell. Their own populations are already demanding accountability. Vasquez nodded. And the Krell themselves? Extinction event in progress, Tanaka reported with grim satisfaction. The bioweapon is propagating through their hive networks faster than projected. Within 72 hours, there won't be a living Krell in the galaxy. The threat that's plagued Union space for millennia will be gone. Stone approached with a data pad. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from several non-Union species. The Thalax Confederacy, the Outer Rim Collectives, even some independent worlds. They're requesting diplomatic contact with humanity. Chen smiled. They smell weakness in the Union. They see an opportunity. Or they see a potential ally who actually honors their commitments, Vasquez countered. She thought about it for a moment. Accept preliminary communications. Let's see what they want. But make it clear, humanity doesn't join collectives anymore. We cooperate as equals or not at all. Over the following weeks, the galaxy transformed. The Union hemorrhaged members as species either left voluntarily or were expelled due to their involvement in the Haven 7 massacre. 3 of the collaborating species faced internal revolutions as their populations learned what their governments had done. Humanity established the independent Terran Collective, a loose federation of human colonies bound by mutual defense and cooperation, but maintaining significant autonomy. The Xanthari were the first non-human species invited to join, Crystallis accepting with honor. The Phantom Fleet became the shield around human space, their presence a constant reminder that humanity could defend itself. The Revenants remained embedded across the galaxy, but their existence was now known. They became humanity's eyes and ears, ensuring no threat would ever surprise them again. 6 months after Haven 7, Vasquez stood on Earth, in a memorial park dedicated to the fallen. 2.3 billion names were inscribed on a wall of black stone that stretched for kilometers. She found Camilla's name and Sophia's beside it and placed flowers at the base. Did we do the right thing? Stone asked, standing beside her. Vasquez was quiet for a long moment. We did what we had to. They taught us that trust without power is suicide. That peace only lasts as long as it's convenient for the strong. So we stopped being weak. And if the Union comes for us, they won't, not now, maybe not ever. Vasquez looked up at the sky where stars were beginning to appear as evening fell. We proved we're not prey. We're predators who chose to be peaceful. There's a difference. She thought about all the years she'd spent believing in the Union, in galactic cooperation, in the idea that civilization meant something. That belief had died with Haven 7. What replaced it was harder, colder, but ultimately more honest. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy, Vasquez said quietly. I think we succeeded in teaching them theirs. As they left the memorial, Vasquez's calm chirped. Chen's voice came through. Captain, we have new sensor data. The Union is forming an expeditionary committee. They want to negotiate. Tell them we'll listen, Vasquez replied, but make it clear they come to us now. In our space, under our terms. The days of humanity begging for acceptance are over. Understood. One more thing, Captain. The Revenant Network reports that 7 more independent species have requested admission to the Terran Collective. They saw what happened with the Union and they want to be part of something different. Something based on actual mutual defense instead of empty promises. Vasquez smiled for the first time in months. Send them our terms. But make sure they understand we mean what we say. Betray us and we won't ask for help from anyone. We'll respond with everything we have. They're very clear on that point, Captain. That's exactly why they want to join. High above Earth, the Phantom Fleet maintained its watch. On 40 worlds, revenants went about their lives waiting. In deep space laboratories, human scientists worked on technologies they would never share with potential enemies. And on every human colony, children learned the lesson of Haven 7. The galaxy was not kind. The universe did not care, and survival meant being strong enough to stand alone. The Galactic Union had taught humanity a brutal lesson about trust. Humanity had responded by teaching the galaxy a lesson about underestimating survivors. The balance had shifted. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. And in the darkness between stars, where the old order crumbled and a new one took shape, one truth became clear. Humanity had issued an order that would echo through the ages. They had said one word, and the galaxy would never forget it: execute.